Good morning, and welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the Think Show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, the Indigenous One. What you see on the screen is a picture of a basketball player, David Corey. Good morning, brother. How you doing? What you see on the screen is a picture of a brother that played basketball back in the 90s named Ed O'Bannon. Ed O'Bannon sued the NCAA, what you're seeing with March Madness going on, because he was saying that the schools was taking the players' likeness and using it to make money on. It's just the typical everything that goes on in America goes on this way. That's how America get its prestige, using you for whatever they want to use you for. This brother sued the NCAA. I think the trial just finished a couple of years ago. I don't know. But it goes to show what these colleges and basically all corporations do to the brothers and sisters here in America. I mean, we can go even talk about, artists, how artists are done with their contracts. These are the things that's happening. But the cool part about it is, the real cool part about it is these youngsters, they not having it no more. So you got another case, that's more, more up to date, more recently. You had that going on in 1995 with Ed O'Bannon, and now it's in 2014. It's updated. You have another brother that goes to the University of West Virginia suing for the same thing. You just trying to pimp the athletes. You give them this crummy ass education, which all the schools teach that if it's not to make things better, it's definitely to make things worse. And one of the things that we can't never complain, because we always want to integrate with whatever they want to do. And they use our energy to do it. And we don't seem to care. We act like it's cool. It's not. So what this brother did, this brother sued the NCAA too. And you can read what it says here. Former West Virginia Unity football player named Sean Austin sued the NCAA in 2014, claiming the organization violates the Sherman Antitrust Act by placing limits on each school is allowed to give its athletes in exchange for their athletic ability. The Sherman Act says in part that businesses from the same industry cannot conclude to hinder the kind of competition that drives America's economic system. Austin's legal team argued that when the NCAA's member schools mutually agree to place a cap on what they provide, it illegally permits athletes from cashing in on their value. So this is what many of us, we will do anything to be a part of them, to be a part of what they do and what they do to us. We'll cuss out our mamas saying that's what we want to do. You also have stories in college athletics, you can look it up, where these coaches who they're really jealous of these athletes, because these athletes are doing things and these athletes going to get paid, some of them, more than they could ever imagine. And they be doing stuff like kicking them, punching them, just in these college athletics. You know how they recruit these kids like the university is the next best thing to heaven. And we just, nobody never went to college, so we got to go there. And this is what we get into. This is what we do. So it kind of kills our protest movement, because everything you protest in, you're in the bed with. And that's how Negroes learn how to, that's how they learn to live. That's what they do. There's no problem. See, all this stuff we say we against, we really smack dab in it. We love it. But you got these youngsters, these younger people. They're not having it no more. They're tired of being pimped. And why we're so we're quick to say it's okay. All of these schools, this whole college thing is a sham. We don't know it yet. What has it produced in the world to make this world a better place? What has it done? How much life force has it killed? I'm talking about human and other creatures and animals around. How many habitats has it messed up? This is the education that we run and get. America's been turned into a garbage dump. And Negroes have helped make it happen because they wanted to integrate into that. No sustainable housing, no different kind of energy. We don't build schools for our children like that. We want to go join them and then complain because it ain't working. So what you see in college sports now, it's gonna the numbers are gonna be skewed because they're doing this COVID stuff. But what college sports make, those people at the top don't want to give it up. And so that's why you have in different kind of leagues, you're seeing cats like Lonzo Ball. He killing. He didn't go to college. There's other alternatives coming out. There's other alternatives being made. And this is what people who, who we see, how we see the world today, we see it crumbling right before our eyes. Are the people who are going to stay here or be here or live here or looking out for their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren? Because it's a line. Every woman passes down that egg to her daughter. It is incumbent for that woman to get somebody who is intelligent enough to help guide her through this experience we call life. That's all we doing. Now, you can do it how other people do it. Go ahead. But what I'm saying, when it comes to pay up to that, pay up to it. Don't say nothing. Don't cry. I didn't know. Nobody told you. You know. The United States System Corporation is supposed to create doom. That's its job. Wars, all that stuff. Chemicals. Non-truths. So the brother asked me, what did I think of it? It's some rapper, so it doesn't make, I don't even talk about it. And saying this dude is worshiping the devil straight out. I mean, that's what they've been doing. I mean, this isn't old stuff. What's happening is we keep repeating it. And this is why I wanted to bring up the athletes, because they're not going for it anymore. And then if you look at some of these cats, if you read, Bill Russell is the plaintiff on some of these court cases. And Bill Russell went to school in the 50s. So they've been dogging these brothers. They've been using these brothers. That's what I mean. You're a natural resource. Anybody can use you because you don't mind. You have the ability to create your own schools. Why don't you do it? I mean, damn. Aren't you supposed to be building the monkey bars that your kids will play on in the future? You, you don't even do that. So this is what I'm saying with this African American, Negro, Black person. I would suggest that you just let them go along their merry way, because you can't. It's like, so this is the example I give of how the African American, Negro, Black person was trained. They're not trained to think ever. He looks to see what his boss says, then he responds. That's how it's done. So what you call the African American, they're not thinking about building their own colleges and universities and higher learning situations they're not thinking about that. They want to see what boss is going to say next. So if they can get in what boss say, right? That's it. You mean the African American can't come up with his own sports leagues and run them more efficiently than what's being ran now? The average African American, no, they want to be with boss. And this is how boss treats them. And when you see the NBA or when you see pro sports, that's just a fraction of the college athletes. You got some colleges don't send none of their kids to the pro sports. That's how many people it is vying. That's how they make their money. We don't see it yet. Well, most of us don't see it yet, but a few of us do. These people are using our children. You see it. You see the advertising. This is Final Four time now. So you see it's making all kind of money. It's not going to make the money it's made last year or the year before or next year because of this COVID stuff. But those college athletes, the universities, and when people are in them stadiums and all that, making a killing. So if they used an electronic image of Earl Campbell can't get nothing out of that. That's what the NCAA says. You went to their schools. We gave you an education. That's their thing. You getting a free education. And we all know somebody who went to college that's an idiot. So we know what kind of education you get. You may be trained in what you're doing. You may be trained in learning to use a screwdriver. You may learn how to use a screwdriver better than everybody else, but everything else is just conjecture. You have something to say, right? I mean, you're a part of this too. You just don't go around and just follow everybody and do what they do. You have to think about it, right? Is this what your family did? Is this the way they went? What were they thinking, knowing that you were coming? Do you even go back and check and look and see what they did? Unfortunately, the African American doesn't. He just goes with his training. They put his nose in the urine, hit him across the nose a couple of times with the newspaper. That's why you have all the arguments with the African Americans. Whatever story they have, they'll argue. They'll try to talk loud, and but they're lying, and they know they're lying. So that's equivalent to the dog trying to pull back from getting hit in the nose. And if you listen to these cats talk all this foreign ideology, if you listen to their arguments, you can tell they're dumb in 2 minutes. because they keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and brother, you're not saying anything. We want to see the women who birthed the Moors. If they're not indigenous women from this part of the earth, it doesn't help us. Huh? Don't you think all the women all over the world, where are they from? There to produce the children that are supposed to watch over that land that they're from? Isn't that what you're taught? Why are all the mothers from all over the world rushing over to get what you got? No, I'm sorry. Why are all the foreigners running away from their homes, running in to cash into everything that you're giving them? Because I hear brothers say, America's for everybody. You think if you went over to Africa right now, any one of those countries over there, and you say you talk that dumb shit that you talk over here to them, you think they'll go for it? That's us. It's for everybody. Huh? Who does that? The African American. He teaches his children that give away your inheritance. That's what's going on right now. That's what's going on right now. So, but you have a new crop of people, and they're asking questions. They're thinking for themselves. They're seeing that it doesn't work. Like this brother, the University of West Virginia football player. Like, damn, dude, you can't even get these cats. Really? You can't get these cats cars or nothing to make life easier for them. You just gonna put them on a plantation all over again. So this is what I mean, and this is what I'm saying. This is why we're gonna have to do things for ourselves. I know most of you, no, we can't do it. We need boss. In life, this happens in life. It happens on a nation level. It happens on a worldwide level. You have to remember that we're not in control of this. We can only use what we've been given. And we are supposed to, each and every last one of us, we're supposed to make it better. Help make better. Not join in to the legal stuff that's going on, but help make it better. That's what all of us are supposed to do. Make it better for the persons on each side of you, behind you, in front of you. Make it better, because when everybody has enough, nobody starves. When everybody has some, they're going to give theirs. Everybody has enough. Then we playing this game of scarcity with these people, especially at the university. They just greedy. Jamie Dodger, how you doing, brother? Copper colored tie. How's everybody doing today? We're being drenched out here, rainy. So check out these college athletes, the ones who are suing the NCAA, what these people are doing to these youngsters and all of this. Stop having your children pimped, because they don't want to do that. All these, if you look at college basketball, or football, or any of them, what you'll see is over the years, they've created something called a portal, where college athletes can go to any school they want to and not lose none of their time. See, that's for people speaking up. I'm not going to go to your school because your coach is abusive. And all of y'all have heard how these coaches are. All of y'all have heard how these coaches are. So don't think it's just so wonderful to get into their stuff, because they just use you for a minute, just like the music industry. Talk to all the sisters who was in the music industry and they were just fuck pieces for everybody. And now ask them now, how do they feel? This is what happens to you when you're young, or you're in your 20s and 30s. You're just using, then you're kicked to the curb because you've taught somebody behind you to do the same thing. That's how the African American does it. That's what the blacks passed off to the African American. Come on. These are not people, you guys. These are ideas, ideologies. Somebody writes your ideology for you and you live by it. That's on you. That's on you. You just can't be out here frustrated and mad all the time because you think somebody's doing something to you. It's not. You doing it to yourself. You help make it happen. Brothers know that well. So I would suggest, this is just a suggestion, those people who are living in the cities and they're being gentrified anyway. You see how loyal the Negro is? He's being gentrified. And he ain't even got enough sense to go back to where his ancestors is from and start building up major cities. He ain't even got enough sense to. That's the African American. You have places in Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, Florida, Oklahoma, and you're not doing nothing. You're not doing nothing with it but complain. Kamala Harris, she a president. How come a sister's not a president? Because you don't want a sister to be a president. You want her to be a president. Amen. So these college athletics, and it's not just them, it's everything. So sister called me and said, what are they doing to the post office? I don't know. But how come the Negro doesn't have their own communication system? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Do you know how much information ants pass on to each other when they're walking all crashing in, walking all over each other? Do you know how much information is being passed? That network that is being passed? How come the African American doesn't do that? How come the African American hears information and just goes spurting it out? And that's all he has. That's going back to that dog being hit across the nose. So, and remember, the African American isn't a self-sustaining. He's like a clone. Somebody made them up, because you can't go back and you can't go back past the 1980s and find the African American anywhere. They're trying to revision history to make it like that, but you never heard people like Marcus Garvey. I'm sorry, not Marcus Garvey. Yeah, Marcus Garvey. You never heard him say the term African American. You never heard Frederick Douglass talk about African Americans. You never heard Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali talk about African Americans. Who is this new African American? Where did they come from? And why are they going back trying to revision history, saying that people in the 1800s were African Americans when it wasn't no such people? And how are you going for it? How you going for it? Moonface says, it's so much land in Tennessee. It's so much land in Tennessee. It's land all over this place. Beautiful. I mean, they got, oh man. And this is the land you walked away from. You didn't want it. You wanted to go work at a car wash in Los Angeles. You saw the movie Car Wash, and that made you want to leave 1,000 acres full of cattle. This is the Negro. They're not looking ahead for what's going to lead their children. They're trying to get a job for themselves. That's that selfishness. You know how Negroes do. Me, me, me. Then try to act like you ain't doing it when you are. So pimping your children, pimping these kids to go just so you know what women's college basketball is doing. They just told you about that. Women's college, they can't even use the same dressing facilities. Stop giving up your power. Stop giving up your ability. Stop giving up the fire that you have within yourself to other people who just using it to take their family on a vacation. And you cool with it because you think you something that you're not. Find your families. Talk to your mothers, your grandmothers, your great-grandmothers if you have them. If they don't know, teach them. That's the least you can do, because many of them, they just don't know. Yeah, it's up to them to know, but if they don't know, don't be an asshole because they was one to you and didn't teach you nothing. Teach them something. Stop taking all the ideas and phrases and words and history of other nations and trying to inculcate them into yourself. You look dumb doing that. You really look dumb. Because so now when you ask the African Americans, well, how come Africans aren't coming over here, getting with you guys, opening up businesses, taking DNA tests against you guys to see who you guys really are? How come they're not doing that? The look that the African American has on their face when you ask them that question is classic. Try it sometime. Try it sometime. Try it. And this is what we're teaching our children to do. And you got the nerve to stand up and complain about something. Seriously, the world laughs at you when you do that, because you join in the folly. You join into what they do. You know, we're not thinking in the future at all about ourselves. No, why? Because somebody told us not to. Period. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason why. That's the only reason why, because somebody told you to. So I'm gonna go ahead and get out now. I got to get in this rain. I'm gonna get wet, but so what? I want to thank you guys for joining with me tonight, listening. Remember, search your families, because I heard sister say one time, she said that you are your ancestors, and for some reason that stuck. That's why it's important to know who they are. Who were the females that those eggs were passed down that made up you? Shouldn't you know that? Shouldn't you know what happened to those? Because they're just bodies moving you around. Shouldn't you know that? I think when you find out, life will get a little bit better for you. We'll be back tonight with Rick Moon. You guys have a good day. I'll see you later. Peace.